So let's check back in now here with Chief Meteorologist Denis Phillips over in the Weather Center. We get these rip currents from time to time, Denis. So how do these really come to be?
Jameson, it's something that you mentioned. I mean, it's part of living in Florida. It's part of living on the water. And this is kind of a good example of what happens. So you have the rip currents that go out directly from the beach, and they form on the other side of the sandbar, right? So you have areas, a little bit of circulation right in here, same thing right here, and they bring that area that makes it pretty much impossible to swim opposite against. And that's what happens. Unfortunately, and James and I were just talking about it. I mean, these can take you out so quickly. You could find yourself a quarter of a mile or a half mile offshore pretty quickly, and you start to panic. I get it. I think a lot of folks can understand what that would do. But nevertheless, that is the absolute time that you have to try to keep your wits about you and realize, you know what? The way to get out of this is not to fight the current. I understand that is an incredibly difficult thing to do. But what you need to remember is usually rip currents are very, very narrow, sometimes 15, 20 feet. So instead of swimming against that rip current and tying yourself out, you let it take you out while you swim parallel to the shore. It is the most important thing to remember. And if this is only about 15 or 20 feet wide, then it won't take long for you to escape the impacts of that rip current, and then you can swim back in with absolutely no issues whatsoever. But again, if you can't escape it, and you can't, you just let it take you out, because otherwise you'll get exhausted, and that unfortunately is when most drownings occur, and hopefully someone sees you and signals for help. So again, the most important thing, even if it takes you out and you start to freak out, and I totally understand why that would be the case, you want to swim parallel to the coast, and you'd be surprised, 15, 20 feet later, you'd be in a safe zone and you can swim back to shore.